Good morning. Welcome to Friday Morning Arcade. I am your host, Brady Keith. Joining me is my co-host.
And this is Nick Ryan, and today we will be covering Mortal Kombat and also kind of talking about their DLC characters as of right now because it's still an ongoing thing. We will be giving our own takes and interpretations of the game. So, yeah, first I want to talk about the combat. First of all, what's your opinion on the combat?
My opinion is that the game, it plays just like the other ones. So there's always that sense of like, you're getting the same game just with different story and different characters every once in a while. But it's still so good. Like, the combat feels smooth. It's always, I don't feel like I have troubles with anything. It always feels smooth. It feels good. It feels like I'm fighting somebody. There's times I struggle. There's times I mollywop somebody. Like, it's not where it's like unplayable combat wise. It's just a really well balanced combat system that Mortal Kombat is known for, and which is why it's one of my favorite fighting games. What about you?
Yeah, so I've always kind of had a love-hate relationship with like the Mortal Kombat series as a whole. I really liked the second Mortal Kombat, and then with everything I would say after four, moving into like the PlayStation 2 era with like Armageddon, Deception, and Mythologies, a lot of it just got super bland and it was a really really bad game, and I think that a lot of my biggest problems with the series stems from when MK9, which is kind of the revival of the whole entire series, when it came out. I'm not sure if you've ever watched the movie Idiocracy. Um,
Sounds familiar.
yeah, so basically, like the whole thing is that like over time, people like their IQs like drop down, and this
Oh
guy
yeah, yeah, yeah.
goes into the future, and it's like it's a whole idea of how long does it take for missteps, for mediocrity to become successful. And that's my biggest thing is that like MK9, its movement just felt super stiff, and then MK10 was better, and then MK11, despite my gripes about the DLC and stuff, the movement system in that game was so well done because it combined stuff from Injustice 2, which, in my opinion, if you look at the Injustice series inwards to the Mortal Kombat series, in my opinion, it's better. But MK1, it like takes it a step further, with small combo mechanics and stuff being adopted from Injustice 2. So yeah, overall, it was a really great all around like game, and I think that the fact that each character feels unique and the fact that like they're not just writing off their past mistakes. They're saying, okay, we understand that we kind of screwed up with, everything since, MK4, which came out like almost 20 years ago. So we're going to embrace that and, do the best that we can to adopt some of those ideas and execute them a lot better. But one thing with the combat though is that also depends on the character. What was your main for a long time?
For like the longest time, I was always like a I was always big on Noob Saibot. I was
Hmm.
always playing him, maybe Sindel whenever she was in the game. But then here roams around MK11, and all of a sudden I can't not play Jade.
Ooh,
I was
yeah,
I could not put her down. I think I have 11,000 wins with her.
wow.
I just couldn't put her down. Her move set, her abilities, everything about her, I loved. Now, don't get me wrong. I still played Noob and Sindel and stuff, but I don't know what it was about Jade, but like I just couldn't put her down, and I just kept playing, and I got so comfortable with her that I could just without even looking, do combos and just hit moves. And I'm just like, I don't know what happened, but Jade just like rocked my like Mortal Kombat game and just made me start playing and maining her.
Yeah. Like MK1 wise, what have you been rocking with?
MK1, I've been rocking Ghostface just because of
Ghostface.
just because of the fact there's like that fourth wall break, and it's like kind of a cool concept for a character like that, and also Natara, because this is Natara's first like appearance in the game as a playable character. Because like in MK11, you could use consumables and have her summon like bats or rain and stuff. But like with this, she's been kind of fun lately. Just the ability of like lifesteal every once in a while and stuff. So like she's been kind of cool, but mainly right now it's been Ghostface. I don't have like a full blown main for MK1. There's just so many good and fun characters. Like that's what I really like about MK1 right now, is that the game is fun. There's so many different aspects. They brought back immortalities. Like everything about the game has felt fun, and it's a completely new and revitalized game in the way that they said, we're going to learn from how bad Aftermath was, and we are going to change that. And what they do, they had Liu Kang reset everything, which I think helped MK1 and helped like rebuild and revitalize what Mortal Kombat and is in general. I think that it put its foot in the door to become something a lot bigger than what it used to be.
Yeah, that's always kind of been like something that I've always had a problem with the MK series, because now we're on our second reboot, and my biggest thing is that most of the time when a franchise does a reboot, a lot of the time it's because the writers kind of back themselves up against a wall. And, like I said before, we kind of seen that twice. And with MK9 specifically, I think that they wanted to erase a lot of what happened throughout the later 90s and 2000s. But with MK1, they're approaching it differently, where it's saying, okay, let's take a lot of these ideas, and because like ideally, like MK11 and like Aftermath, like that was a good, like on paper, that was awesome. It was just executed really, really badly, and that's kind of the story of MK as a whole, and so the fact that like they're coming back and they're revitalizing everything, and they're saying, okay, let's add in this and this, is really great. Speaking of like Ghostface, what are your thoughts on the DLC characters?
For me, I was always partial to MK11's DLC characters because I thought it was cool that they brought in Rambo and Terminator and stuff. Like that was always a really cool thing. But with this DLC, I don't know. It just feels like they started to listen to like what's relevant and what's popular right now, and they did something completely out of the blue. Nobody was expecting it. They brought in Conan the Barbarian. Like that is so like out of the blue, left field, and I think that's interesting. Like I think we have a good list of DLC characters for this. We have Omni-Man, Homelander, Ghostface, Conan, like I just mentioned. I'm missing a couple of the people, but that's fine.
Takeda, Quan Chi.
Yeah.
There were a couple like returning characters that weren't from like MK11.
Yeah, but this is a good batch of DLC characters, and it introduces new aspects, like what I was mentioning with Ghostface. That man is like a big like pop culture reference. He's popular. He's getting a new movie right now. But it's also introduced a new element, and that's breaking the fourth wall. There's that little element of adding into this cool game, like making it like being able to break the fourth wall. Like in his finisher, literally, Johnny Cage is playing Mortal Kombat, and Ghostface kills him. Like it's such a cool concept to add into a game because it's not really done. You see it in movies like with Deadpool and in the Deadpool games, but it's not really done anymore. And so I think that's a cool little rendition / addition to the Mortal Kombat franchise.
Yeah. So I wasn't a big fan of MK10's DLC characters. I'm someone who I feel like just adding in a bunch of horror movie characters and then not really expanding on that, it seems like a cheap cash grab. And then MK11 did the same thing to where it's just like, oh yeah, we're going to do Joker. And Joker is, basically the same as Injustice 2 and Injustice 1. And then I started to feel that way with MK1, with Omni-Man and Homelander, which was just basically copy and paste of Superman. And that's whenever, like, Takeda started coming out and Ghostface, which usually, again, like I said before, I think that, making horror movie characters, into your fighting game is a big, cash grab. But for me, like, Ghostface does hold a, special place in my heart. And then, yeah, like Conan the Barbarian, we're getting the one guy from Terminator, the antagonist from the
T-100.
Yeah, T-100. And then we're also getting some ladies. So I'm really excited for it. But yeah, that's really all I have. Do you have anything else, Brady?
I don't know. The game itself has always been something new and cool and fun with Mortal Kombat. Like, it's such like an interesting game, and like there's so much more we could talk about for the game. But like, we kind of said most of our things about the game. The only really thing I could think of is like if we added on more time and like talk about the franchise and the story right now. But I think the game itself has been pretty fun. I think it's just we need to let it
like simmer. Yeah,
like simmer, air out for a little bit longer before we can fully cover everything about the game.
Yeah, that's kind of my biggest thing with, like, the fact that it's, like, held up so well against Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8. Shout out to my boy Clyde from Final Fantasy 16. I've been absolutely making people rage quit with Clyde. But yeah, I think that the fact that they are, keeping up with these two franchises it's completely awesome. And yeah, like, individually, I will say that, like, MK11 and 1 have been the best games since MK2. And I know that for some people, they grew up with Armageddon, and, like, that's fine. But it's inherently flawed. But yeah, that's all I have. Yeah, so anyways, guys, we're going to have
I have one massive problem with this game. I originally spent this $100 to pre-order the special edition, deluxe edition for my Nintendo Switch because that's what I use the most. And the graphics on that were atrocious. Like, that was the worst thing that I think I've ever seen in my life. Like, it was so bad. I don't know how they managed to mess up that bad for me to, one, get the game, immediately go and return it and exchange it for Xbox One. Like, something that I can't take with me. It was that bad and unplayable. The graphics were so bad. I'm like, I can't play this. I can't see anything. Like, I'm trying to do, like, challenges or finishers and stuff. I can't. It literally will not load. Like, I can't do anything on the Switch. So it made me so mad. I'm like, I can't.
But do you know what else is massive? Nintendo's bank account right now, because they scammed the crap out of you guys.
Yeah, they did.
All right, but yeah, that's
Also, before we sign off with the arcade and stuff, y'all should go try and battle Floyd. That fight is so hard, but the rewards are kind of worth it in that stage. Welcome back. We realized we had more to talk about than what we originally had planned. So here's a continuation of our last episode that will be added on at the very end. Honestly, going back and just playing it over the night, I realized, to me, the story feels more complete than all the other games. It feels put together. It feels like they had a plan. They figured out what they want to do with the series and how to move forward with it. And they ran with it. And it feels smooth. It feels complete. It feels like they have finally realized what to do with their games and what to do with their story, and have decided to move forward and advance and better forward the standing of Mortal Kombat. So I think that's really good that they figured out their plan for it to move forward. They made the story feel complete and like nothing was left, and it felt good and not the like Aftermath and the whole Mortal MK11 story. I just felt and left undesired.
Yeah, like, to me, I always go back and forth with MK's story, just because, like, MK9 basically created, like, the whole idea of a story mode within fighting games. Because for a long time with, like, stuff like Street Fighter and Tekken, a lot of your story came after or before like your arcade ladder stuff. And so the fact that, by MK9, they said, let's just reboot the whole entire series. And I think, like I said before, rebooting a series is kind of showing your hand to your audience that you're probably not the most effective at writing, or your team isn't as effective at writing. And obviously, there's more to that, but it comes down to, a lot of the time, a reboot means either three things. Either you've written yourself up against a wall and you don't know where to start, which is always bad, because as a writer, your principles are always look towards the future. Never just kind of stop. Always look how you can expand on what you did within that previous piece. And then you also have, like, number two, which is, it just comes down to, like, for instance, like, Marvel and DC is kind of known for, like, when they get, like, recasted as a superhero, they kind of have to go through their origin story again.
And, like, retcon some stuff.
Yep.
Or, like, put in, like, a plot eagle or whatever, and have to, like, we recasted this character, so we have to retcon and add this little plot eagle in, like in Black Adam. I know that they originally changed it from, like, it being his son and stuff to it actually being the father becoming Black Adam instead.
Yeah, and like, obviously you have a lot of other, like, franchises doing that. Like, Spider-Man has gone through 3 iterations.
Well, technically more with all the voice actors.
Yeah, that's true. And all of those, actors and all of those, corresponding franchises could have been expanded upon. So it kind of depends on, whether or not you're rebooting it due to recasting. But there's also kind of a third one, which just comes down to full-on writer's block. When a story is abandoned for so long, you kind of forget about, like, the real reason why you've created that story. And I think that that's kind of number 1 and number 3 is kind of the reason why I think that Mortal Kombat has went through 2 different reboots. And I think that this current one with MK1, the coolest thing about it is that they're not, trying to erase their history. With MK9, they tried to reboot it and say, there's no more MK1. 2006, this is a real MK1. And just kind of, trying to push all of those skeletons back into the closet within the later 90s and also the PlayStation 2 era of games. But yeah, I don't necessarily think that it's a bad story. Obviously, it has its flaws like every other story, but I think that the fact that they embrace all of the little mishaps, I think it's just overall like really really cool. One of the current additions to the game is Floyd.
Yeah. Yeah, Floyd has been a really like fun and cool addition because he was in the original as like a secret little cameo appearance, I believe.
Yes, he was.
He was like a reptile character where they would
Yes.
randomly appear in the background when you were using like Sub-Zero, Scorpion, or something like that. But with this game, they have 30 set challenges. It's a random 30 like it's set challenges, but it's a random out of the 30 challenges which ones will count to summon Floyd, and I think it's like 10 or 15 that you have to complete for you to be able to actually go and fight him. Let me tell you, that's hard. It's hard to beat him. I wasn't thinking, and there was a challenge where that was hard, so I used Raiko because he made it easier to do it. Dude, I got just mollywopped by Floyd in my 3 tries because, like, you only get 3 tries and then you have to redo it.
Oh, yeah.
So then, luckily, I had to go back and redo it. This time I was smart and I actually used my main. I actually used Ghostface for this, and let's just say Floyd found the 4th wall.
Yeah. I really liked Floyd, especially within this game, because like MK9 through like MK10 and 11, a lot of your boss characters kind of came down to like, oh well, they have super armor and stuff, and it's very like cheap game design. But with this game, he will combo you into oblivion, and he once you drop a combo, you better hope that you know how to block or some zoning techniques, because there is no way for you to get out of any type of his attacks or combos without taking quite a bit of damage. And I think a lot of it too has to come down to Dragon Ball FighterZ did this a while ago, to where the whole idea of like raid bosses and stuff and like having difficult NPCs, which I mean like a lot of games have done that, but within like the modern era, Dragon Ball FighterZ has really garnered the most attention with that. So I think that the fact that NetherRealm or MK1 adopted that, I think is it's really cool. But yeah, do you have anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, we just got 2 more things before we sign off. The first thing I really want to talk about is how good the voice actors are in this game. Like, I was so impressed. Now, don't get me wrong. Sorry, I love you, Megan Fox, but that could have been better.
Yeah.
But like, you have someone like Yuri Lowenthal playing Smoke, and he plays him beautifully, might I add.
Yeah. Yeah, I really liked all of the voice actors. I think that, like, up until, like, MK9, a lot of the voice acting was pretty mid, and a lot of it has to do with just because of age. But, like, the fact that they returned some of the older voice actors and they added in, it just creates a really nice overall feeling of the game that, yeah, like, if this were to be the last game that NetherRealm were to make and that MK1 is the last Mortal Kombat game, I would be okay with that.
Yeah, me too.
I would be completely okay with that. Obviously, that's not going to happen, but, but yeah, what is that second thing? Because I think I have an idea.
Yeah, the second thing is, this isn't more of like a talk we're going to talk about the game. This is more of a call out, because we've gotten the reboots. We've gotten new Mortal Kombat. We've got new Tekken. We've got new Street Fighter. You know what what I'm waiting for?
Yes.
I'm waiting for Dead or Alive 7. Give me
Yes.
Dead or Alive 7.
Yes,
I
yes.
need that game. And you have one as well that I remember?
Please, Dead or Alive, please come back. And Soul Calibur, please come back. Just for one more game, you could put it out on the Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo Switch.
PC.
You could bring in Zelda for the Nintendo Switch. You could bring in Master Chief for the Xbox, and like Old Man Kratos if you want to. Please, just one more game. One more game, please.
Yes. Please, Soul Calibur. Please, Dead or Alive. Give us our games. I miss you. And Dead or Alive, can we remake that movie, please? That
That
movie
was
sucked.
trash. That
That
was
sucked.
trash.
All right. This is Brady Keith.
And this is Nick Ryan.
Thanks for joining us at the arcade. Signing off till next week.
See ya.